There has never been a fight that means more to me than beating Stipe Miocic.
It's right there.
Oh, nice elbow. Oh! That, ladies and gentlemen, is the future. He is the present and he is the future. And he might be the greatest talent that we've ever seen in the UFC.
Jon Jones is always itching for a fight, but he keeps ducking Tom Aspinall. The fans want it, Aspinall wants it, but he doesn't. Could Jon Bones Jones be afraid? While Jones is considered the greatest light heavyweight ever, he's been very cautious ever since his move up to heavyweight. Maybe a little too cautious. It looks like he's particularly avoiding a fight with interim champion Tom Aspinall. Instead of taking him on, Jones opted to fight the semi-retired Stipe Miocic, and that has raised questions about his motives.
There has never been a fight that means more to me than beating Stipe Miocic.
I mean, Stipe Miocic is ranked 6th in the UFC rankings as of filming this video, so he's clearly not as good as Jones makes him out to be. The man hasn't been the same ever since his loss to Francis Ngannou. Meanwhile, Aspinall has been calling Jones out for a fight. And honestly, Jones seemed pretty uneasy during their interaction at the Arnold Sports Festival. The truth is, Jones' hyper-competitiveness drives his success, but also makes him mentally fragile as he meticulously analyzes opponents to avoid losing. That is a fear that borders on a phobia. This is why he shies away from fights on short notice, just like he declined to face Chael Sonnen with an 8-day notice. He's still a light heavyweight. And that skill set is less effective at heavyweight as the division focuses more on finishing ability than strategy. Lacking one-shot knockout power, Jones may not be confident in his durability against heavyweights who can bulldoze through his techniques. Past heavyweight champions like Ngannou had crazy finishing abilities, but Gane was probably the easiest heavyweight Jones could have asked for. Jones' dominance over Gane masked his vulnerabilities, as Gane didn't have the knockout power and grappling weaknesses that Jones exploited easily. So, fighting Miocic offers Jones credibility with minimal risk, as Miocic does have a nice career behind him. But he's also 41 years old and hasn't fought in 3 years. Now, Jones plans to retire after defeating Miocic, but Aspinall's interim title win at the UFC 304 has disrupted these plans. You see, Aspinall presents a much bigger threat with his fast, accurate hands, knockout power, and better defensive wrestling than Gane. Having studied Jones for over a decade, Aspinall knows Jones' patterns, tricks, and tendencies. This allows him to come up with a perfect game plan to knock off the current heavyweight champ from his pedestal. This hyper-competitiveness, which makes Jones so great, also makes him incredibly fragile mentally. He may have an identity crisis too, so the eagerness of the fans to discredit his achievements compounds his fear of losing. But Jones has been addressing public opinion on X and explaining why he believes not fighting interim champ Tom Aspinall is the best and most honorable decision. Jones mentioned on X that he's facing a pretty clear decision as he prepares to return to training camp after recovering from a pectoral injury. One option is to stick to exact and original plans by fighting former champ Stipe Miocic next. The other is to completely disregard all of the Stipe training he's put in and fight another potential hype train that may not even be around in 3 years. But this might be a strategy. We all know Jones can walk the walk and talk the talk because he's a highly skilled fighter, arguably one of the best the UFC has to offer. So by making it seem like he's avoiding Aspinall, he could be building more hype for a future fight with him. This could add suspense that many of Jones' previous title defenses at light heavyweight lacked. Think about it. This would mean we eventually get to see Jones versus Aspinall for the undisputed heavyweight title. And it's the perfect sales pitch. If Jones confidently takes on another fight where he's the big favorite, fans might feel like they've seen that story before. But if he's pressured into fighting someone he might prefer to avoid, it feels exciting. So, Jones isn't scared of Aspinall, the man's just being smart. Even if you put Jones in a pit with a silverback gorilla, he still believe he'd win. Fans often accuse fighters of being scared because that's the emotion they associate with fighting. But no one reaches Jones' level in this sport if fear controls their thinking. He has climbed to the very top and stayed there for years, to the point that the man partied hard before each fight and still won. What is it if not fear? The main explanation seems to be legacy, or at least Jones' perception of it. Jones cares about how people see him, even if he might deny it and knock a hammer down on his own feet from time to time. All the arrests, drug test issues, and repeated mistakes have cost him belts, fights and wins multiple times. But Jones knows that fans usually overlook personal problems if the professional achievements are great enough. He wants to be remembered as the greatest MMA fighter of all time, and based on his accomplishments, he probably deserves that title. When he pushes for a fight with Stipe Miocic instead of Tom Aspinall, it's about protecting his legacy. Jones isn't thinking about current fan interest, he's considering how the names will look on his resume. Miocic is statistically the best heavyweight champion in UFC history. Jones believes that even beating an older version of him will help him become the greatest ever. No doubt Aspinall may be the better fighter, but he doesn't offer the same legacy boost right now. If Aspinall is truly great, he'll continue to win, and a victory over him will mean more in the future. While this might seem unfair, especially for someone like Jones who dominated the 205-pound division before moving up to heavyweight, it's the reality. Spending time justifying why he won't fight a particular opponent usually doesn't win the battle of public opinion. Neither does Aspinall calling him out. After his win against Curtis Blaydes, Aspinall retained the UFC Interim Heavyweight Championship with a powerful first-round knockout at UFC 304. Aspinall floored Blaydes with a big right hand and finished him off with a series of punches, ending the fight just 1 minute into the round. Realistically, this win earns him the right to go up against Jones for a unification fight. But Jones still has at least one more title defense lined up and needs medical clearance. Blaydes may have beat Aspinall in 15 seconds due to a knee injury, but Aspinall got his revenge with this victory. This isn't the first time Aspinall has impressed his fans, though. He also knocked out Sergey Pavlovich in the first round at UFC 295, making him the first British heavyweight to win gold. The interim title fight was added to the card only after Jones injured his pectoral tendon during training, causing his title defense against Stipe Miocic to be postponed. Now, Jones and Miocic are definitely the next fight lined up for the future, potentially in November. And that's great, because the winner will be facing Aspinall to crown an undisputed heavyweight champion. We'll find out what's what soon enough. Aspinall has already earned his 12th career knockout win and declared himself as the best finisher in the UFC. I mean, he's only made it to the second round once in his 9 UFC fights. Will Jones be the one who takes him to the second round again in his career? He might, unless he decides to hang up the gloves after beating Miocic. If that happens, Jones shouldn't be surprised if people think he's avoiding the fight. Even Bisping thinks Jones needs to take the fight because how on earth can Jon Jones retire when there's another active defending heavyweight champion? In the end, if legacy is what he truly cares for, leaving this fight hanging after Miocic will affect his legacy and it'll hang over his head forever. But there's a huge risk for Jones in a fight with Aspinall because he's not only younger but also bigger, faster, stronger, and more motivated to win the title. The best case scenario for Jones in such a fight could be a controversial decision, while the worst case is getting knocked out, and he can't have that. With these high stakes, it's unlikely that Jones will take the fight against Aspinall, especially when it's so much safer to take a fight with Miocic instead for now. But what do you think? Let us know in the comments below and subscribe for more videos like this.